Yo guys, welcome to this elder fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the Mirage Blade Fox? Part 7. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. They stood in an empty abyss of darkness. Everywhere they looked, it was endless darkness. They couldn't see the ground where they stood or their hands in front of them. They knew it was a Genjutsu, but stopped trying to break it minutes ago. I'm glad you all could make it. Naruto's disembodied voice spoke. When this is over, you will all be crying like a bitch. But you were Sasuke, shouted. An elite like me can take it. You know what, Sasuke? Naruto spoke again. You can go first. Everyone was pulled further into the darkness for their own punishment. Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, Sakura shouted. Where are you? Did the dope leave me with Sakura? That would be punishment. Sasuke-kun. Ino. Hello little brother, empty voice spoke from behind. You're still too weak. Sasuke swirled around on the spot, he'd know that voice anywhere. Itachi. He shouted. What is he doing here? There in the darkness was a visible Itachi in his cloak. His Sharingan was glaring visibly at the younger of the brother. Their eyes met as Itachi's took another form Sasuke had never seen. Izanami. Sasuke never knew what hit him. All he felt was his older brother's two-finger tap on his forehead. Just like in the old days, before the slaughter. The younger of the Uchiha drew a kunai and took a swipe at his brother. Itachi simply leaned away from the blade. He brought his fist down on the younger Uchiha's head. The force behind it knocked Sasuke straight into the ground. He didn't have enough time to stand. Amaterasu. He couldn't see it, but he felt the black flames latched onto him. No, it can't end like this. I need to avenge the clan. They began at his feet where they began to crawl up. Inch by inch the flames began to consume him. Turning him into ash. Turning him into nothing. The last thing he saw was Itachi walking toward him. The elder Uchiha raised a hand and tapped Sasuke's forehead. The flames were gone. The pain was gone. There in front of him stood Itachi. He spoke. You're still too weak. Then feel the power given to me, Sasuke shouted, and then we'll see who's weak. The curse mark on his neck began to grow. It covered his entire body in black flame-like tattoos. Chidori. The lighting he held in his hand blazed with every ounce of his hate. Sasuke charged his elder brother with every ounce of chakra he could muster. Pro-clone jutsu. As Sasuke's hand came into range, it happened. Itachi's body broke away into a flock of crows, letting Sasuke and the attack pass though. He reformed behind his younger brother, as if nothing had happened. He felt the two-finger tap on his forehead again. There Itachi stood. Sasuke's curse mark had receded as if he had never activated it. Even his chakra supply felt as if he hadn't used any in the slightest. You're still too weak. They locked eyes. Tsukiyomi. Sasuke felt everything change. The darkness faded and became a red sky, and the sky was a black moon and clouds. Sasuke was strapped to a cross, unable to move. For the next 3 days he stopped and began to change into Naruto. Dope, Sasuke shouted. For the next 3 days he began to cackle, will be at the mercy of your fangirls. Nuu. Like a bitch. The audience were in a state of silence. One moment Sasuke was locked in combat with his brother and the next, being ravaged by fangirls. Only Naruto hears and mumbled. Sakura. So what kind of punishment would the baka have for me? Sakura asked herself. Let's find out. Naruto stated behind her. After giving a shriek in fear, she began screaming, you baka, you nearly gave me a heart attack. There's Sasuke. Naruto calmly stated. Where? Sakura asked with heart in her eyes. They broke at the sight before her. Her precious Sasuke-kun was being ravaged. Not by just anyone, it was Ino Pig. While Sasuke saw an army of every fangirl he ever had to deal with, Sakura saw different. She saw said Uchiha being ravaged by an army of Inos. Not only were they so numerous, Sasuke seemed to like it. No. She wailed. This is your punishment. Naruto stated, for the remainder of the Genjutsu you will see this and not be able to interfere. Sakura ran to the horde, determined to save her Sasuke-kun. The problem was that she wasn't getting closer. She continued on, but the army and Sasuke seemed to be forever out of reach. Like a bitch. Kiba. Come on out, dope. Kiba called, show me what you got, I can take it. Kiba rough female voice called, what are you doing? Mom? Kiba asked shocked, what are you doing here? Are you saying that I can't go where I please? Zoom asked, that I need your permission to be here. No mommy. Kiba answered. I heard you joined so you wouldn't be beaten by women. She stated angrily, is that true? No mommy. Kiba whimpered. Liar. She shouted, you need to be punished. What are you going to do to me? Kiba asked. You will listen to Naruto give me pups. She answered with a psychotic grin. Don't you mean grand pups? Kiba asked. I know what I said, she answered, come here Naruto. Nuo. Like a bitch. Kakashi. Kakashi had been walking down an empty path for a while. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew two things. He was not on the road to life. And two. He would be on time. Not if I have anything to say about it. The Cyclops-like Jounin thought. He prided himself on being late. He was Kakashi Hatake, the man who would be late to his own funeral. Little did he know he didn't. This way Kakashi. Rin-sensei. He could see them in the distance. You've finally come, they spoke. We're glad. You are? He asked as a tear escaped his lone eye. Yes, it's very. They paused as they thought of the right words. Youthful. Kakashi stopped in his tracks as his blood ran cold. Now that he was up close he could see them and their outfits. Green spandex. And something else, something he couldn't put his finger on. Where are all of the women? He asked himself. He was overheard by Minota and Obito. Women? Obito repeated in confusion. What are those? I think he means what Rin used to be. Minota stated. Oh, there are no more of them. Obito stated. What? Kakashi asked in dread. Why? We got rid of them. His sensei answered in cheer. They were distracting us from our youthful training. What about Icha? Kakashi asked. We have those, his sensei answered, filling Kakashi with hope. Everyone is a fan, even us. The Jounin looked around and sure enough, it was true. Everyone not training was engrossed in a copy of the book. Kakashi felt his heart soar. There was still hope. Here's the latest issue. Obito offered. Kakashi snatched the book from the Uchiha with desperation. It was an issue he hadn't read. He looked at the book as if it were a gift from the heavens. He tore his headband off and began reading with his Sharingan. Wait a minute, this is yaoi. He screamed in horror. The words were forever burned into his memory. You don't like it? Obito asked. Where's the women? Kakashi demanded. Where's the smut? He continued. Where's a place not converted to youth? Well, there is no such place. They answered. They saw him began to convulse on the ground. Are you okay? There is nothing about this whole scenario that doesn't make me so disgusted that I want to violently vomit out my own internal organs. He answered with an unnatural calmness. I despise you both so intensely that I can't tell if my vision is blurry from the Sharingan or my unforgiving rage. He continued. If no women smut is found, I will gut you with an honest-to-God smile on my face and proceed to paint the home I build with your bodies with your very blood. That's unyouth. Ah. Kakashi shouted in rage as he began forming hand signs. Chidori. Wait. Minota shouted in desperation to stop his student. There is some. This calmed Kakashi down enough to listen. A copy of Icha involving women. Where? He needed to know. Well, tell me. Now. There is a place, he whispered, guarded by you. Warriors, he corrected. It said to contain the only copy of what you're searching for. He gave it to the grin with a sparkle. We will take you there. Later. So this is the place? Kakashi asked as he eyes the dojo. It's not impressive. It's a place where youth doesn't exist. Obito spoke. We'll be back in a while. Minota stated. Good luck. Kakashi was now looking at the dojo in a new light. A place untouched by youth, he thought. I'm home. The Jounin made his way forward. Stop. A voice spoke. The ground around the dojo began to tremble fiercely. A large crater-like crack began to form in front of the Jounin. Out rose three man-like sized turtles. We are the youthful turtles, one spoke, guardian of this unyouthful place. Before you can enter here, you must pass a test. Another spoke. What kind of test? Kakashi asked. If you say youthful, I'll. No, the voice assured. It's an extremely youthful test. You must. Join us. Kakashi said nothing after the turtles' comment. He just looked at them with empty eyes. A little later. Kakashi was running through the woods. He had decided to ignore the test and leave. No smutty book was worth it. The turtles were closing in on him. Kakashi, why are you running? A turtle called. Just accept your fate. Never. The Jounin shouted. Where you gonna go? Where you gonna run? Where you gonna hide? Nowhere. Because there's no one. Out there. Like you. Left. Like a bitch. Ino. Ino had been walking down the dark tunnel looking for Sasuke. She had the idea that he would protect her from anything Naruto would throw. And then we'll get married. She thought to herself. Is it getting warm? All this heat is going to make my hair go frizzy. She whined. Out of nowhere a mirror showed up. Ino didn't question it, she just started to admire herself in the mirror. I look good. She said to herself. Yes, you do. Someone spoke. Really good. Ino looked around, but couldn't find the voice. Who's there? Ino asked. Just an admirer. The voice answered. What do you want? Ino asked. My dad's of the Yamanaka clan head and I'm a Kunoichi. Well, I want to be in your skin. Well, who wouldn't? Ino asked, but beauty like this can't be copied. I know, the voice agreed. That's why I'm taking yours. What do you mean by that? Ino asked, frightened. Her answer was just cruel laughter. Ino felt cold steel pierce her flesh and go across her skin. The pain was unimaginable for the young Kunoichi. It tore away her smooth skin, leaving her with only the muscles and innards beneath. Give me back my skin," Ino demanded through the agony. "No, you can have this one." She felt something cover her exposed flesh. The pain of having anything come in contact with her was excruciating. It wasn't over, sewing needles began to work on her. Soon the skin was a part of her flesh. Once finished, she looked into the mirror. "I'm a pig," she shouted in outrage. "You really are no pig now." The voice mocked, "And I have some hungry friends." Footsteps began to echo in the darkness, coming closer and closer. Ino couldn't tell where it was coming from, only cower. Soon she was surrounded by a mass of people. Naruto stood in front of them all. "Well, would you look at this, pork for dinner." "Wait, I'm not a pig," Ino desperately shouted. "I'm a girl trapped in a pig skin." "That's what they all say." Naruto spoke. "Besides, I gave Tun up," he said with regret. "A second pig will not escape me." No, oink. Like a swine. Iruka. The teacher was in a large and complete dark room. He had nowhere to go, so he did the only thing he could. He waited. "Iruka-kun," a familiar voice called Iruka-kun. "Banko?" Iruka asked to no one. "Hi." She spoke behind him, nearly giving the Chunin a heart attack. After screaming like a child, he straightened himself. "Banko, what are you doing here?" Iruka asked. "Did you sign the contract?" "Nope." "Then why are you here?" he asked. "Are you here to help me?" "Nope." "Then why are you looking at me like that?" Iruka asked nervously. Banko didn't answer, she just started moving forward. Iruka began moving backwards. "You're not Anko, are you?" "Spread M," she ordered. "Okay, maybe you are." Iruka tried. "Nope." Every nerve in his body was telling him to run. Too bad for him, his back was against the wall. "Can't we talk about this?" he pleaded. "Nope." She began weaving hand signs, ones that he feared. Trouser snake jutsu. She grabbed Iruka by the collar and threw him to the ground. She began to arrange him as if he were a toy. "Top down, bottom up." She spoke into his ear. "Wait, Anko, please." He needed an escape. "Ain't no breaks, Iruka," she stated. "What?" "All aboard," she shouted full power to the caboose. "No." Like a bitch. They were all surprised when the screen in the sky went blank. "All those viewing this will have to watch someone else suffer." Naruto's disembodied voice called through. "This is now too graphic, so we're moving on. I just wanted to say I don't agree to rape or even enjoy fix on it. But come on. That was funny." "Hate." The sickly Jounin was making his way down the shadow path just as the others did. He had never taken his hand off of his sword since the whole thing began. What does he have planned for me? He asked himself for the 100th time. "Hello, Hate." A voice spoke from behind him. The Jounin quickly spun around, blade drawn. He attacked the first thing he saw with a fast diagonal cut. The blade made contact, but didn't go more than inch in. "That was impressive attack," Naruto spoke, especially with a sloppy swing. "I take care of my blade," Hate growled as he added more pressure. "Not all of us can rely on special weapons." The shadow began to form behind Naruto, taking the form of a person. "Yes, it is average, isn't it?" Naruto and the figure stated. "Average blades are easy to stop, but blades of wind can't be stopped by anyone." Hate saw who the figure was, the Sand Jounin that defeated him. Naruto grabbed his elemental sword and took a swing. He pumped it full of wind chakra. Instead of cutting through Hate, it pushed him. The Jounin flew back with force that should have killed him. Instead, it just left him in a lot of pain. "I'm going to show you the one thing, Kakashi tough me," Naruto spoke, even if it was indirectly. "I even gave it a boost." Naruto grabbed the down Jounin's sword. "Leaf Village secret jutsu. 10,000 years of death. Does any more need to be said?" "Like a bitch." Asuma. Unlike all the others, Asuma didn't go anywhere. He would wait for Naruto to come to him. "So you didn't make a move, huh?" Naruto spoke beside him. "Why should I?" Asuma asked. "I know how this'll turn out." "Really?" Naruto asked skeptically. "How?" "With you beaten by me, again." Asuma stated. "When did you ever beat me?" Naruto asked, generally confused. "I won Kurenai." "No comment, I see," Asuma stated victoriously. "How's your steak?" Naruto asked. "What? I'm not eat." He was eating steak, maggot-filled steak. The Jounin began to empty his stomach. "Stop doing that," Asuma shouted. "Well, let's begin." Naruto stated as he began to light a cigarette with his sword. Are those my smokes?" Asuma asked. "And they're almost as good as ramen," Naruto stated. "Give me ba, what do you mean almost as good?" Asuma asked as if he had been struck. "They are twice as good as any ramen." "You shouldn't insult ramen," Naruto warned as he looked around nervously. "It might become offended." "I'll insult ramen as much as I want," Asuma shouted. "It tastes like watered down piss-covered noodles." He started. "As tastes like, is there something behind me?" The blonde Chunin just backed away. Asuma slowly turned around toward the creature behind him. It was a pile of ramen 8 feet high. It seemed to be shaped like a monster-like being. It seemed to be staring directly at Asuma. And now I know I said some things. Asuma spoke, but I'm sure we can put all that behind us, right? The creature said nothing, it just pointed a noodle-like arm over Asuma's shoulder. The Jounin looked toward the direction and was confused. There was a giant bowl of hot boiling broth. You want me to get inside the bowl? He asked the creature, earning a nod. Why? It opened its big mouth to reveal a large black hole. In those large black holes were rows of giant teeth. Hunger. Holy shit. Naruto shouted, it can talk. How did you not know that? Asuma asked in disbelief. You made the thing. No, I didn't, Naruto replied honestly. I don't even know how it got in here. So this thing is real? Asuma asked in fear. And it wants to eat me? Kind of ironic. Naruto stated. Hunger. It repeated. I don't want to be eaten. Asuma told the creature. The Jounin drew his weapons. He would fight. He would use all of his experience to take down the creature. Every jutsu and combat skill in his arsenal would aid him. It was a short fight. Ramen won. No, I don't want to be eaten. The Jounin shouted. Asuma was now being held over the bowl of hot boiling ramen broth by a string of ramen. He struggled with all his might, but it was all pointless. He belonged to the ramen now. You know what, fine. Asuma shouted, let the noodle monster eat me. Ramen monster. Naruto corrected. Whatever. The Jounin didn't care. Just know this, I got something you'll never have. What? Naruto asked in an uncaring manner. I got the mistress of Genjutsu to say I love you. To me. Asuma stated triumphantly. The ramen stopped the descent. It knew something was wrong, that something bad was going to happen. What? Naruto asked. That's right, Asuma spoke. All of us got the Ice Queens, your former Heims, to say I love you to us. He continued. Did they say it to you, even once? They didn't. The ramen monster had only one thought in its head. Fuck this over and over, and it was too young to die. It dropped the Jounin onto the ground, grabbed its bowl. The creature ran like the wind. The air became cold and empty between the two shinobi. It was hollow. Asuma felt like he had something he would regret. Haha. His laugh was empty. Oh dear, you said some really magic words. Naruto stated. I guess I'll have to kill you now. But the contract said. Fuck the contract. The hollowness consumed the Jounin. Hi everyone, Naruto spoke to those in his Genjutsu. I was trying to be a nice guy, trying to be lenient in your punishment. You did horrible things to us. Iruka and Hate shouted. I said trying. He shouted, but thanks to Asuma, I won't be going easy on you anymore. Well, you wait easy. Ino asked anymore. I'm going to tear your souls apart. Kiba. The Inyazuka had spoken a big game, now he was alone. And scared. At least I still have you, Akimaru. Kiba stated, getting a bark in reply. Or do you? Naruto asked. Oh, Kiba growled. Hello, Akimaru. Naruto greeted and goodbye. It all happened in a flash. Naruto had grabbed Akimaru. I will give you a chance to save your partner, Kiba. Naruto stated. All you have to do is make a small sacrifice. What do I need to do? Kiba asked. It said that your family values loyalty above all else, is that true? Naruto asked. An Inyazuka would gladly lay down their life for their friends and family. Kiba stated with pride. Then do so. Naruto ordered, and I let Akimaru live. You think that'll work? Kiba laughed. The contract said you couldn't kill or cripple us. Did it say anything about suicide? No, didn't think so. Naruto chuckled dryly. Plus, you don't have to kill yourself, you could neuter yourself. A dark thought occurred. Plus, Akimaru didn't sign, I could kill him now. Naruto raised a kunai to the dog. Wait. Kiba slowly drew a kunai with shaky hand. He unsteadily held the blade to his throat. Suddenly his hand held firm. I dope. The young Inyazuka threw the kunai with experience accuracy. It soared toward Naruto, aiming for his heart. The accuracy was dead on. The only problem was Naruto had a shield in the form of a dog. The blade pierced Akimaru's underbelly. The dog gave a soft whimper before going still. Naruto dropped Akimaru on the floor with a soft thud. The puppy laid there broken and cold. You fool. Was all Naruto spoke. He left the young Inyazuka to grieve over his lost comrade. The audience saw the whole thing. Tsume was very disappointed. She just didn't know in who. Naruto for using Akimaru as a meat shield and killing him. Or Kiba for risking his partner's life. The academy entrance opened and Naruto walked out. Tsume, he called. I have something for you. On his hand was Akimaru. The dog had bitten and hadn't let go. You're letting Akimaru go? Tsume asked, confused. I'm not holding anything against Akimaru. Naruto stated he was innocent in everything, only following Kiba. Thank you, pup. Tsume spoke now about that scene with me getting pups. Gotta go. Naruto rushed. People to torture, minds to break. Ino. As soon as I get out of here my daddy's going to kick your butt, Naruto. Ino shouted for the 100th time. You always rely on others, even your clan name. Naruto chastised you wouldn't make it a day in my shoes. She continued walking when she noticed something, a light. It was a bit away, but it was something. Ino ran after it, she even ignored the fact that she was getting sweaty. When she finally reached the light, she walked through it. It led outside. I'm free. Ino looked back at the school and saw that their tortures were being showed, just not hers. That means I'm the only one out. She realized Sasuke will be proud of me. I better get a new dress for our date. The young Kunoichi began to walk around the shopping district looking for the best. She found it. It was a golden dress that matched her blonde hair perfectly. She just had to have it. Excuse me sir, how much is that dress? Ino asked the cashier. He took one look at her. It's not for sale. He stated. But he didn't let her finish. I said it's not for sale. He growled before calming. But I have one that is. You do? Ino asked hopefully. The man went into the back and returned with an orange dress. It wasn't too bad, but not up to Ino's taste. Well, beggars can't be choosers. How much is it? Ino asked. It's over 9,000 yen. The man answered. What? Ino ripped the dress from the man's hand and looked at the tag. The dress as 1,000 yen. Are you telling me what I can and can't price my items? Before she could answer he yelled. Get out, I don't want your kind here. Ino ran out of the shop as fast as she could. She felt as if the owner would have actually hit her if she hadn't. Well, who needs them? She had better dresses in her closet. It's that girl. You mean that one? Yep. Ino looked around toward the ones whispering. She saw their not so hidden looks of hate and disgust. There was also the looks of something Ino was almost familiar with, just never this dark. Imagine what we could do with her. You'd probably catch something. As Ino looked around she realized everyone was either glaring at her or acting like she wasn't there. It hurt a lot. Score, she heard someone shout. There was a quick flash of pain in her head. The blow had knocked her off her legs and into a daze. She looked at the object used and couldn't believe it was a rock. Someone had actually thrown a rock at her. When she came back to her senses, she came back with anger. How dare they? Ino grabbed the rock and threw it directly at the one who struck her. It hit him in the direct center of his forehead, knocking him over. Did you see that? Someone asked, panicked. She attacked him. Someone get Anbu. At the bitch. Kill her. Ino couldn't believe what she was hearing. They were going to punish her for self-defense. They began to move in on her. There's too many. There was only one thing she could do. She had to run as far and fast as possible. It wasn't enough. They caught her. Leave me alone. She shouted as she trembled. I'm warning you. You all hear that? She's warning us. The entire crowd began to laugh. It wasn't a happy laugh, it promised pain. One of the villagers threw another rock at her. It started. The villagers began to beat her. They used whatever they could beat their very hand or sticks they found on the ground. They cut her flesh with jagged and rusted objects. They burned her with fire jutsus. As they damaged her mind with cruelty and her body with pain, she had only one thought. The thought Naruto had many times in the past. Why are they doing this? Why won't they let me die? She knew the answer, it would have been too easy. They wanted to get out all of their hate. But why? Daddy? She cried. Where are you, Daddy? He didn't show. No one did. What are you doing? A distant voice asked. Finish her now. No, not like this. She thought, desperately looking for an escape. She found one, better yet she found several. They were in the form of her attackers. Mind transfer jutsu. Using her family's technique, she started her escape. She took control of one of her assailants, a shinobi. Once she was in control she made for her helpless body. Grabbing it, she ran for the only safe place she knew. Home. Ino released the jutsu as soon as the mob stopped giving chase. She didn't have the chakra to go any further. She limped home. Finally she thought as she saw the clan. Ino limped toward the entrance to her home. Before she could get to the door they opened. She saw the comforting figure of her father. Daddy. She cried in joy. What are you doing here? He asked, his voice full of venom. Me daddy? She asked in shock. Her daddy had never taken a tone like that with her. Even when she insulted the customers. You're no child of mine. He hissed. Now get out of here. But I said leave. He snapped as he drew a kunai. Or should I finish what the villagers started? Ino couldn't believe it, even her own father turned on her. The feeling he was giving off wasn't something she was used to. It wasn't the comforting figure of a parent. This was something both shinobi and civilian alike were capable of. Hate. She did all she could. She ran. Maybe she could find someone who wouldn't hate her. There has to be someone, she thought to herself, right? Sakura. Sakura too had walked through a light that freed her from the darkness. Now she was in front of the school as well. Sakura. Her heart skipped a beat at the sound of the voice. Sasuke-kun, she cheered. You made it from the Baka's Genjutsu. Of course Sasuke stated smugly, the dope's skill is nowhere equal to mine. This is my chance. Sakura thought. There was no one around, no senseis, no competition, no anyone. Sasuke-kun, she called, would you like to go on a date with me? Sasuke stared at her for what felt like an eternity. He's going to say no. She wailed in her mind. Sure. He answered before walking away. He agreed. She asked herself, he agreed. There was only one thing she could do now. Mom. She shouted as she ran home, I need a new dress for my date with Sasuke-kun. 8. Sasuke had taken Sakura to the most expensive restaurant in the village. Everyone stared at her with complete respect or envy. It was as she had always imagined it. There had been very little talk between the two. Sakura was fine with that, they had a comfortable silence. Now the Uchiha was walking her home. Sasuke-kun is walking me home. She mentally cheered. I had a wonderful evening, Sasuke-kun. Sakura spoke as they arrived to her house. Sakura, would you like to go out again? He asked nervously. He's nervous about asking me out. That must mean he likes me. Yes. She enthusiastically agreed. Time passed. Sakura and Sasuke grew closer as they grew older. Her time with him was better than she could have ever imagined. She even got him to open his heart about his family. I'm so sorry, Sasuke-kun, she cried alongside him. It's not your problem, Sakura-chan. Her heart skipped a beat. Thanks for listening. Sasuke-kun, yes. He ushered her. I want to help you. She stated weakly before adding strength to her words. I want to help you reach your goal. Thank you, he whispered, but I could never ask you to face Itachi. I didn't mean that part. She stated with a slight purr, I want to help you revive your clan. I will not bear an Uchiha child out of wedlock. He stated with strong conviction. I am sorry. She whimpered, thinking he was angry. Sakura, will you marry? Yes. Then and there it happened. The Uchiha showed the Haruno a night of passion and pleasure she never thought possible. Time passed. Push Sakura, the doctors ordered, just a bit more. Just what do you think I'm doing? It seemed childbirth increased her already large lungs. Wawa too new, and innocent voices cried. Congratulations, Mrs. Uchiha. The doctor spoke, you've given birth to a healthy pair of babies. My babies, let me see my babies. Sakura weakly ordered. The doctors handed her the children, both boys. She looked at them with her eyes filled with love only a mother could possess. Time passed. Sakura was happy. Mommy, look what daddy taught me. Her eldest of the twins spoke. The boy went through the hand signs for a fire jutsu, a tradition for the Uchiha clan. It was a small flame, but made her swell up with pride. Everything okay, Sakura? Sasuke asked as he noticed the tears in her eyes. She looked at him. She finally had everything she ever wanted. The man of her dreams. 2 gifted children she loved with all her heart. Wealth, fame, and finally, respect. Everything's perfect. She answered honestly. Then I guess it's time I stepped in. A voice spoke, making her freeze up. The Uchiha family looked to the one who spoke. There stood one of the people the Uchihas hated most, Naruto. Oh. The younger Uchiha growled, what are you doing here? What Naruto said froze Sakura to the core. I came to help history repeat itself. And no, stay away from my family. Sakura shouted. Stay away from my babies. Sasuke ran toward the duo, fully charged Chidori ready. Dope, he shouted, today, I will finally crush you. Sakura never understood what happened. 1 minute Sasuke was going to beat Naruto, then he was just gone. He literally faded out of sight. Sasuke-kun. Daddy. Naruto began to walk to them, slowly and purposely. The 2 young Uchiha twins ran toward Naruto, blinded with rage. As they got closer, Sakura noticed something horrible. Each step Naruto took destroyed everything around him. The plants withered away and the ground broke away under him. The Uchiha children didn't stand a chance, they were now held high by their throats. They were at Naruto's mercy. And behold, I shall be a blight upon the land, he spoke softly, and everything I touch shall wither and die. As he spoke, she saw the worst sight she could imagine. Their skin became pale as their bodies became shrunken and frail. Their skins broke away, revealing the bones chipping away underneath. Her children weren't just dying, her babies were withering away. And she could do nothing about it. When he was done, there was only 2 piles of dust. They blew away in the wind, forever scattered and away from her. She looked up at Naruto. Please, she begged, kill me. He merely walked away. The ground, even reality, gave away. All that was left was her, floating on a small rock in oblivion. Everything she ever wanted or needed was given to her. Her heart's desire was taken away. Now she was truly alone, all that was left was her and a true black abyss. She wanted to jump and put an end to it all. Something told her it was pointless, that she would fall forever. Never hitting the bottom. Never to enjoy death's sweet embrace. Never to join her family. Sasuke. Where are you, Dope? Sasuke called into the darkness. I'm here to challenge you, just like you did with Itachi. You challenge me, huh? Naruto asked, appearing from the shadows. And what? I challenge you to a one-on-one. A regular match, fine. Naruto agreed. You challenged me, so it's your move. I am an Uchiha, the elite. Sasuke spoke arrogantly. What do you hope to do against me? The same as everyone else. Naruto answered. Break you. Sasuke made the first move. The Uchiha ran forward and started forming hand signs. Fire style. Fire Phoenix Jutsu. A barrage of small fireballs made their way toward Naruto. Invert. What? Now they were making their way back towards Sasuke. The young Uchiha raised his hands to block the attack. It never came, at least not by fire. It came by cold steel. It started off as numbness that grew into a stinging sensation. It continued to build, forcing the Uchiha to open his eyes. He looked to his arms and saw a thin red line, exactly where the pain was. As the Uchiha tried to flex his hands, he noticed they didn't respond. They were numb, as if they weren't his. Then they fell. It took Sasuke a moment for him to realize what had just happened. His arms had just fallen off. It took even less time for the pain to kick in. The Uchiha fell to his knees in agony. Actually, it would be better to say he fell off his knees in agony. They too had been severed. Now Sasuke was nothing more than a torso. An angry, Sharingan-wielding torso. Well, now Naruto began. Where have I seen this? Oh yeah, with Niji Hyuga. Naruto stood in front of the limbless Sasuke. The Uchiha tried to attack Naruto. All he managed to do was thrash around in agony, spilling his blood. After a pointless moment, he began to slow down. He was getting dizzy and tired, so tired he thought. It was all because of his thrashing around. The movement forced more blood out of the body. Now Sasuke was near unconsciousness as well as death. Well, Sasuke asked weakly, aren't you going to kill me? Naruto didn't answer, he just raised his elemental sword high into the air. I'll finally rejoin my clan. Sasuke thought with a slight bit of peace. Before shouting out in unholy pain. Sasuke looked to the sword Naruto had burning into his arm. He's cauterizing the wound. Sasuke realized. When Naruto finished the first arm, he moved to the next, then the legs. Naruto wasn't killing him, he was preventing the Uchiha's death. Why don't you just kill me? Sasuke asked in pain and anger. You don't fear death, you welcome it. Naruto answered, your punishment must be more severe. The torture? Sasuke asked, his fear built. Yes, Naruto answered, but not of the body. It will be of the soul. Sasuke looked at Naruto. For a moment he thought he would finally see his family, his parents. Then Naruto took it away from him. No, I will not be denied. Sasuke thought angrily. The young Uchiha opened his mouth and slammed it shut with all the force he could muster. His teeth tore through his tongue as if it were a marshmallow. He gave Naruto a smirk as his consciousness faded. It was met with a smirk from the blonde. Naruto shoved his elemental sword into Sasuke's mouth. Hard enough to force its way in, but soft enough to stop on the winded tongue. A true contradiction. His mouth was met with the same situation as his limbs. Did you think I'd let you go that easily? Naruto asked. No, you don't get to go yet. Naruto stated in a matter-of-fact tone, when your dreams are in ashes, then you have my permission to die. What does he mean by that? Sasuke asked himself. Earlier this week I was met with an intruder in my home. Naruto stated. Not uncommon, a lot of people want me dead. Sasuke agreed with that. The funny part was who it was. Naruto turned his head to the darkness and called. Bring him in. In popped several Naruto clones carrying a struggling figure. The sight filled Sasuke with horror and fear. It was a beaten and bloody Itachi Uchiha. The elder Uchiha looked as if he were about to collapse from either exhaustion or pain, maybe both. The clones forced Itachi to his knees in front of the two. The elder Uchiha locked eyes with the younger one. Hello Sasuke-kun, Itachi rasped. I bet you're enjoying the sight. The honest truth, he wasn't. It was supposed to be him that brought Itachi to his knees. Not Naruto. Say your farewells. Naruto ordered. He raised his kusanagi high. And brought it down on Itachi's neck. But not before he could utter. I'll tell mom and dad you said hi. The only sound was the thud of a head hitting the ground. Wait a sec. Naruto exclaimed. Didn't you have a second dream? He looked as if he were deep in thought before snapping his fingers. That's right, you also wanted to revive your clan. Now Sasuke was feeling despair. Naruto raised his kusanagi blade and took aim at the Uchiha family jewels. It happened in a flash, the blade extended and retracted. It had severed the Uchiha's ya. Now we add fire to stop the bleeding. Naruto actually sung as he did just that, and sing of the mental help you'll be needing. Naruto walked away, but not before leaving Sasuke with a gift. He lifted Sasuke upright so the Uchiha could see. The area became a cemetery. Not just any cemetery, it was one Sasuke visited often. It was the Uchiha cemetery. His parents' graves stood before him. Mom, Dad, he thought bitterly. I'm sorry that he couldn't bring himself to finish. He could only sit there, not even having enough will to cry. Kakashi was tired of dark tunnels. He knew Naruto had something planned for him, but he was ready. He truly felt Naruto couldn't do anything worse than before. Oh, how wrong he was. Hey Kakashi-kun, a weak feminine voice called, why didn't you save me? Kakashi felt his heart snap. Rin, he asked. No, this is just Genjutsu. You didn't watch after your comrade, an older silver-headed man stated in disappointment. Has my life truly been in vain that my own son is a disappointment? Father. Kakashi couldn't believe his ears. I'm just as much to blame. Another voice spoke. It seems my lessons didn't sink into that skull of yours. Sensei. Don't call me that. Minato snapped. If you can't follow my lessons, then I can't be your teacher. He gave the younger Jounin a sneer look. At you, playing favorites. Did I ever play favorites with your team? And no, but I. Be what? Rin weakly asked. I owes a debt to Obito. Kakashi weakly finished. So I. No, a new voice spoke. The new figure limped and joined the argument. His entire right side looked as if it had been crushed. The left eye was sending a truly hateful glare. It was Obito Uchiha. I gave you that eye to protect Rin. Obito stated. What do? You let her die. He shouted. Then you go get lazy and become an awful teacher. You taught your team nothing. I trained you better than that. Minato stated. I've used this eye to protect this village and many of my comrades. Kakashi tried to reason. Naruto appeared from the shadows. But you couldn't protect a child, he asked. Could you, Inu-san? We can forgive not protecting me. Rin stated. We are shinobi and our lives are in constant threat. We can forgive you being a horrible teacher. Minato continued. Not everyone is suited for it. We can't forgive you. Obito started. For becoming a hypocrite. As one they spoke. Those who abandon the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are less than trash. They're scum. Naruto spat. I think it's time I take back what's mine. Obito whispered. The Uchiha limped forward, arm extended. Kakashi had nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. His sensei would just find him. He could only scream as the fingers dug into his eye socket. And yanked. Iruka. Iruka knew that he was in more trouble than ever. Whatever Naruto had planned would make his next punishment look tame. If that's possible, and he feared it was. Hello Iruka, how are you feeling? Naruto asked in a low voice. I'm doing fine Naruto. Iruka answered nervously. We'll have to fix that. Naruto stated. Iruka had clamps form around his wrist and ankles. They spread themselves out and latched onto the wall behind him. The whole darkness faded. It became a dark and murky room. The doctor is in. Naruto made his way toward Iruka, kunai drawn. He cut away at the Chunin's jacket and shirt, exposing his chest. Naruto proceeded to a circle about an inch into his flesh around Iruka's chest with the kunai's tip. He then turned the blade to its side and carved the circular flesh. He repeated the process 2 more times at random points on Iruka's chest. He let out a hollow laugh as Iruka's cried. Naruto grabbed his kusanagi blade and raised it high. He brought it down repeatedly on one of Iruka's legs, cutting only halfway through with each strike. Once he had finished, he moved to the other leg. Naruto then drew his elemental blade. He heated up 2 kunai with concentrated raw fire chakra. He slowly drove them through Iruka's hands, going inch by inch. When it had finally made its way through, he stopped with the fire chakra. He tied a thin piece of ninja wire from both ends of the kunai to his elemental sword. He began to pump them full with lighting chakra. Iruka couldn't describe the pain he felt. Every cell in his body was literally being electrocuted. He wasn't even given the chance to black out. Naruto drew another kunai and made a deep incision from Iruka's chest to his stomach. He dug both hands in before ripping Iruka's chest cavity open. He could only howl in pain as Naruto continued to laugh. Why are you doing this? He asked through his tears. Let me tell you something. Naruto began joyfully. I'm not completely with it. He removed the liver. I'm on the crazy train and there's no station in sight. He squeezed a kidney until it was goo in his hand. When I was born, I was beaten with a mental stick. He cut the spleen with a kunai. I'm a thread loose of a tapestry. He yanked on the small intestines. I'm 1 cupcake short of a bakery. You're insane. Iruka shouted. Bingo. Naruto agreed. The blonde brought a kunai down into Iruka's heart. The citizens on Konoha couldn't believe the brutality they were seeing. Many were emptying their stomachs onto the ground as they viewed the horrors. Hokage-sama, you have to stop him. No, I don't. Tsunade stated, as long as they're alive and can function, no rule has been broken. They watched as Iruka was put together and brought back to life. Only for the torture to continue, death would have been a blessing. Hate. Oh hate. Naruto called, come out, wherever you are. Hate had used the only Genjutsu he knew. It was a camouflage type, now he was hidden in the darkness. Or so he thought. Naruto was a senior nin. He knew the exact spot Hate was trying to hide. Above. He just decided to humor the Jounin with false hope. It made the fear all the sweeter. Naruto felt the chakra shift and knew Hate was going to attack. The Chunin raised his Kusanagi sword as hate fell from the ceiling. The tip of their swords met and balanced the Jounin. With a surge of chakra, they were separated. I'm going to kill you, cough. Hate screamed. Come. Naruto ordered. Hate focused as much chakra into his own sword before charging Naruto. The amount he had shined over the blade. Naruto met it head-on with the Kusanagi blade. They were in a power struggle until Naruto drew his second sword. Hate drew back with caution. Howard Hate spoke, you cough can't face me in cough a Kenjutsu match. This caught Naruto by surprise. A single Kenjutsu match. The blonde murmured, fine, but on my terms. Cough, I'm listening. Hate spoke. No Kenjutsu related jutsu. Naruto began. No chakra, no anything other than skill. Deal. Hate readily agreed. He believed that with his skills and experience, that he had the upper hand. Naruto charged forward, both blades drawn. Hate stabbed his sword forward intent on impaling Naruto. Naruto jumped over the blade and swung at Hate's head. The Jounin quickly stepped back and blocked with his sword. The weight in these blows are ridiculous. Hate thought. He quickly pushed Naruto off and back a few feet. I need time to think. Hate panicked. I can't keep this up without chakra. Naruto ran forward again, his own blade intent on impaling. Hate jumped to the side and attempted to sever Naruto's arms. The blonde simply continued forward, avoiding the blow, giving Hate a clear view of his back. The Jounin drew a few kunai with explosive tags from his pouch. He threw them toward Naruto and they were right on target. They would have hit had Naruto not spun around with a gust of lighting. It sent the charged metals back at the Jounin. They landed at his feet and he almost laughed. He would have laughed if the explosive notes hadn't gone off. He was just lucky they were low-powered, he might have lost a limb. For now he was just stunned, unable to move. With Naruto round. He wished the explosion had killed him. You just couldn't do it. Naruto chastised. You couldn't meet me on even ground. Naruto watched as Hate picked himself up, barely. The Jounin felt an invisible force push him against a dark wall. His own sword began to float in front of him. The blade flew toward the Jounin with great speed. It was thanks to years of experience that his body acted, grabbing the blade between his hands. Impressive. Naruto admitted. The invisible force returned against the blade. Again. And again. And again. It pushed against the butt of the sword, forcing it through Hate's stomach. Hate tried to resist, but the blows grew stronger each time. Naruto finally stopped when it was halfway through. Naruto walked up to talk. Well, Hate didn't let him finish. He grabbed the blonde in one hand, holding tight. With the other, he removed the sword and put it to Naruto's neck. "Oh, scary." Naruto mocked. Hate tried to force the blade through Naruto's neck. He would have succeeded if Naruto hadn't scattered in a mass of black petals. The black petals reformed and became a mass of shurikens. They rained down mercilessly onto the Jounin. When they stopped, he could only glare at Naruto. "Go ahead," he growled. "Kill, cough, me." "No," Naruto spoke. "Your disease is doing that for me. Cough cough cough." He couldn't continue. Hate was hit with a coughing fit. It was worse than any he'd ever had before. Soon he fell to his knees, coughing up blood. His body fell over, paralyzed from the disease. "It hurts, doesn't it?" Naruto asked, though he already knew. To know that a disease will be the cause of your death. Not a shinobi way to go, like poison. The look in Hate's eyes said so many hateful things. All he could manage was cough 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 cough. He barely noticed Naruto place a red vial on the ground, barely. He gave the blonde a questioning glare. "This is full of my blood." Naruto stated, "If you drink this, your disease will be cured." Hate couldn't believe his ears. A chance of relief? He thought with hope. "You can have it, but there was a catch. If you can get it." Naruto spoke. "It'll only be there for 3 minutes." He stepped away from the vial. But he placed 10 feet away. "That's not fair." Hate couldn't move. His cure was right there. But he couldn't reach it. It might as well have been a mile away, hidden in enemy territory. So close, Naruto whispered, yet so far. 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. Asuma. Asuma knew he was in trouble. He had opened his mouth one time too many. He knew Naruto was waiting, saving him for last. So he needed to go on the offensive. And he did. Let's see if Kurenai's lectures were worth anything. He thought dryly. Hi. He released a burst of chakra that dispelled the darkness Genjutsu. Only to show more darkness. Double layered. And a surprised Naruto. Asuma-san, Naruto stated in actual surprise. "How did you?" "My girlfriend is the mistress of Genjutsu," Asuma stated as he lit another cigarette. "You think she'd let me go if I couldn't even release a Genjutsu?" "True." Naruto agreed. "Now?" Asuma began mockingly. "Why don't you be a good chunin and let me out of here?" "Excuse me, I am a shinobi." Naruto began. "I am the fuck mothering Bujiman." He grinned. "I am fear." He laughed. "I have broken a lot of minds to get this title. I deserve to be caused such. And I am one of the 12 guardian ninja." He scoffed. "You don't hear me bragging." But I could. Aren't you, dodge? That's exactly what Asuma did, barely. Naruto had swung his inflamed elemental blade at Asuma's head. Had the Jounin been any slower, he'd be a real hothead. Naruto didn't stop there, he swung and released wave after wave. Asuma continued to dance like a monkey. But he wasn't a Jounin for dancing around attacks. With each step Asuma took to avoid a blow, he got closer. Soon Naruto would be in range for a counter-attack. Now? The Jounin thought. He ran forward, trench knives drawn and ready for action. Naruto saw this and ran forward to meet the challenge. The two shinobi jumped forward and met in air. Their weapons struck and landed back to back. Only both of Naruto's arms were on the ground. He didn't even try to evade. Asuma thought, was he really that cocky? You shouldn't have messed with a Jounin. Asuma spoke lonely. He got no further. Naruto had turned and delivered a devastating kick to Asuma's sides. It had enough force to knock him onto his back. Asuma watched in awe and horror as Naruto's arms grew back. You forgot something important, fool. Naruto chastised, this is all a Genjutsu. Well then, Asuma spoke as he took another puff, I'll just have to break through. He gained a cocky smile, give me your worst, let's see who Kurenai taught better, me or you. Then feed on your own despair. Naruto whispered. The area turned red, no, Asuma thought. The darkness was bleeding. He realized. How the hell does emptiness bleed? The blood began to move around and take form. It was the form of a fox's upper body, then a second. Asuma didn't know what was happening. He knew what he was seeing was Genjutsu, that's all it could be. What he didn't know was Naruto was pouring concentrated fear directly at him. He wanted my worst, Naruto thought grimly, well here it is. Asuma could do only one thing. He ran. He forgot one thing, he was in Naruto's Genjutsu. There was nowhere he could go or hide that Naruto couldn't get him. How long have I been running? He asked himself. He didn't know, but he could stop. Not now, not ever. As he ran, he looked over his shoulder and saw the foxes behind him. Always behind him. Always chasing. Wait, what's that? He asked himself with a sliver of hope. It was a light, a chance. No. Naruto spoke from behind. Asuma felt chakra pass through his leg. He was familiar with this chakra, it was the one he used. It was wind chakra. His leg had been severed. He couldn't go any further. Asuma turned to see Naruto standing in between the two foxes. You, what have you done? Asuma shouted, what have you done different than any one of us? Bitch, I eat people. Naruto yelled. What? Devour, Naruto ordered. The foxes fell onto Asuma. They tugged at his 3 remaining limbs, tearing them off. They ate like starved animals, and they continued to eat. They tore his stomach open and let his innards fall out. They nibbled, savoring each and every bite they could. One snapped at his neck, tearing out his throat in the process. With a second snap, his head was disconnected from his body. Asuma was conscious of every piece being taken away. He felt the pain he never thought possible. Naruto wouldn't let death come easily. When the blood foxes finished, not even bone remained. How was he? Naruto asked the creatures. He tasted like a monkey. One stated, gagging. The monkey that's past its prime. The second stated. Hokage-sama. Yugao cried, you can't let this continue. He still has plenty of time left, Tsunade calmly spoke. But. He needs to be stopped. You all can't join the fray, Tsunade stated as she held up the documents, none of you signed the contract. This was their chance to stop the madness and torture. All they had to do was sign. And face Naruto's wrath. I don't know, Anko stated, I'd like to keep a little sanity I have. The giant Genjutsu screen drew their attention. Naruto, what are you doing with that badger? It's not a badger, it's a honey badger. Naruto corrected. You mean the one that, Naruto cut him off. Yeah. Naruto grinned, the one that doesn't give a shit. Well people, Naruto spoke, how was it? It was horrible. Haruka whimpered. You survived my hatred with your minds intact, Naruto congratulated, but I have some bad news. What? Kakashi asked. You're going back. But it's over. Ino shouted. No, it's not. Naruto spoke, I'm nowhere near done. He can't do that, Hokage-sama. Hana shouted. Actually he can QB countered, he's only used up a few minutes. What? Impossible. Anko shouted. We've been altering time from both sides, Taiyuya stated, motioning to QB, he speeds it up time for them, but we slow it down for you. In all honesty, he used up about 15 minutes. The torture continued, for everyone. The fools who signed the contract only wanted death. Every torture Naruto did only got worse and worse. The villagers couldn't look away. They were stuck too far in awe and horror. It was like an accident, that one. The mistresses watched, powerless to defend their boyfriends and brother. The only ones not suffering were the Harems. They just pretty much sat back and watched. I can't take this anymore. Anko shouted, give me that stupid paper, I'm signing. Same as us. The mistresses spoke. I've already told you it's too late. I need a drink. Tsunade thought, clearly annoyed. Unless Neru-kun accepts, there's no way in. I have a plan, Yugao spoke. They huddled into a circle and listened. Are you sure it will work? It did for everyone else. We have little choice. Agreed. Hokage-sama, we want to sign. Before she could be cut off, she continued, we know how to get him to allow us. Fine. They signed, one by one. Enko. Hana. Kurenai. Yugao. It was done. Kurenai stepped forward. Naruto Uzumaki, she shouted with a Genjutsu amplified voice. It gained his attention. We have signed the contract. Hana spoke with the aid of the Genjutsu. We each challenge you. We the Mistresses of Konoha challenge you. They continued, pure skill against skill. Sensei's vs student, do you accept? They asked. When he didn't reply, they continued, are you afraid of us, Naruto? The doors swung open. Naruto had accepted their challenge. I am fear, Naruto's voice stated, and fear fears nothing. They walked in. So you challenge me, huh? Naruto asked. I accept. Well then, none of those abilities QB enhanced you with. Hana ordered. You've become like the Uchiha, we want to see what you can do without it. Naruto didn't like the jab but had to agree. He had become very reliant on the gift. Okay, if you wager you titles. Naruto stated. What could you possibly want with our titles? Kurenai asked. Let's begin, Naruto stated before they could prepare. The mistresses began to spread out around Naruto. Looks like we need to give you a hard and thorough lesson. Anko said as she licked her kunai. Naruto ran forward and clashed swords with Yugao. The Jounin and Chunin were locked in a power struggle. Clang. Izanami. What the hell was that? Kurenai asked, feeling something off. It was interrupted by Anko, who threw several kunai at the young ninja. Naruto kicked Yugao in the side before he jumped and rolled to the side. As Naruto stood, he began to deflect each one. Anko, however, was far from out of kunai. All those times you threw these at me are paying off, sensei. Naruto mocked. As he continued to deflect, his ninja senses kicked in. He noticed that Hana's chakra was right behind him. Naruto turned and aimed his elemental sword straight toward her. A thin but strong stream of fire made its way toward her. Hana barely had time to duck, slightly singeing her hair. I need some space, he thought. He jumped back and threw a kunai with an explosive tag. The Kunoichi saw his act and smirked a bit on the inside. We just need to keep pushing him, they thought. Hana threw a smoke grenade. They knew it wouldn't block his chakra senses, but it would distract him. Striking shadow snakes. A single snake wrapped itself around Naruto's legs, binding him. It was Naruto's turn to smirk, but he didn't hide it. Whoa, snake. The snake tensed up before releasing Naruto. It turned to a new target, Anko. It wrapped around her before she or anyone knew what was happening. Wait, what the hell? Anko exclaimed, you can control my snakes. No. Naruto answered as he raised his sword and prepared to strike Anko. It just knows better, all snakes know better. As Naruto drew his sword, his body froze in place. It took him 1 second to realize what happened. A paralysis jutsu, he thought. It took him another second to break it. In those 2 seconds, Kurenai was able to draw a kunai and throw it. It pierced through Naruto's wrist, forcing him to drop the kusanagi. Even with his pain tolerance, it hurt. It still wasn't enough, he thought as he jumped back while drawing the elemental sword. He needed more space. He couldn't keep track of them all, even with his sensory. The Kunoichi knew this, they continued to press the attack. Hana first throwing a punch Naruto couldn't block. Now open, Yugao grabbed his hand holding the weapon and twisted it over her shoulder, forcing him to release. With more pressure, she flipped him over her shoulder and painfully into the ground. He attempted to stand, but they didn't give him a moment's rest. They delivered blow after blow to the dizzy blonde. Enough of this, he thought. Flower petal escape. Naruto scattered into a swarm of black flower petals. Had the Kunoichi been watching, they would have noticed his sword scatter into petals as well. Damn it. Anko shouted in frustration, this is getting us nowhere. What should we do? Hana asked. She got torture advice from Anko. Her question went unanswered by both Yugao and Kurenai. When the 2 Kunoichi realized they were being stared at, they focused. Something on your minds? Anko asked. I was just thinking of how well he used his escape. Kurenai answered. I couldn't follow him. I'm also impressed at how he stood his own with his Kenjutsu. Yugao admitted. I was going all out. Anko could only look at the 2 Kunoichi in disbelief. She couldn't believe that they were commenting on his skills at a time like this. Even if he did put fear into my snakes. She thought to herself. I know that look. Hana stated as she watched Anko. You're feeling pride in your student. Well, Anko trailed off before admitting the scared snake was a nice touch. Tell me. Hana begged. What's it like? It's one of the greatest feelings in the world. Anko answered without thinking, knowing that you helped in making someone become better. She continued. Few things rival it. She would have continued had Kurenai not jabbed her in the sides. When she looked to see the reason why, she saw a very depressed Kunoichi. Hana was crouched over making circles in the ground. The storm cloud over her head raged with her depression. Didn't know anyone could be that emo but the Uchiha. Must be nice, Hana mumbled, being able to appreciate what you taught. The three kunoichi could only stare in awkward silence. Damn, Naruto cursed, they're tougher than I thought. He could only chuckle at it, he had underestimated them. At best they're each high chunin, but in their own specialty they're high jounin. He needed a strategy. What can I do, best them? No. Separate them and pick them off one by one? Maybe. That'd help. Maybe the Raymond monster. No. Use flirting as a distraction. Hell no. Piss them off till they go berserk. No. I could. Wait, go back to that last one. Pissing them off. Yeah, do you have anything that could piss off 4 women? The dark smile crept onto Naruto's face. Perfect place for cliffhanger. But I won't. Women, I strongly apologize for what happens next. The kunoichi were preparing for Naruto counterattack. Well, what do we have here? Naruto asked. A Waffle House of bitches. He stated. So who's going to put on the maid outfit and serve me? The women could only stare in belief. He did not just. Oh, I believe I did. Naruto stated. You really suck, Naruto. Hana growled. No, you 4 do. Very well, I might add. Naruto corrected. I remember. And by the way, you 4 acted even better. The kunoichi turned red with both anger and embarrassment. It's true, they admitted. Hana had had enough and charged Naruto. The blonde was prepared. Naruto reached behind his back and waited as Hana drew closer. The kunoichi was prepared for a kunai or something like that. What Naruto drew made her stop 2 feet away. A rolled up newspaper. Raising it high, he brought it down on her head. Bad dog. The blow itself didn't hurt her, just her pride. The shock and disbelief was enough to stun the 4 kunoichi, the audience and the readers. Thankfully Naruto wasn't done. Shooting his leg out, he knocked Hana to the ground. Sit. He delivered a powerful kick into the side of Hana's side, knocking her over. Roll over. He raised his swords high over his head. Play dead. He brought it down. Hana fell over lifeless. Naruto, you bastard. Kurenai was the first to snap out of the shock. Right into a feminine rage. Like a bull seeing red, she charged. Naruto gave a weak chuckle. What's wrong, sensei? He asked mockingly. I thought you said Genjutsu specialists shouldn't charge into a fight. Don't you mock me? She shouted. Although Kurenai was a jounin level shinobi, her taijutsu wasn't. She delivered a sloppy punch but missed, throwing herself off balance. You must have some real lance in your pants, he spoke into her ear as she tried again. Let me help. Smack. Naruto delivered a smack to her bottom that was so fierce it caused another pause. Firm with a little give. Naruto spoke. Just the way I like it. Pervert. Anko shouted as she struck him. After he recovered, he went onto the defensive. Anko was the opposite in taijutsu, so Naruto had to stay on the defensive. You of all people are calling me a pervert? Naruto asked defensively. Your name is on the bathroom wall of right under for a good time. He gave her a look of disgust. That's definitely the pot calling the kettle black. Shut up, she shouted, taking another swing. It's not my fault the village is filled with simple-minded bigots. Why are you still a shinobi? Naruto asked. What? Anko asked in confusion. They were in the middle of a battle and he had questions. To protect the village. Naruto ran forward and swung at her. The special jounin just sidestepped and impaled a kunai in Naruto's shoulder. The kunai with an explosive tag on it. You bit the explosion cut him off. I enjoyed that far more than I should have. Anko stated, only for her jaw to drop as Naruto walked out of the flames. Is that it? Naruto asked disbelief. The things people have been saying about you is true. He sighed with mock disappointment. Iruka's made you soft. What? She asked, shocked me. Soft. Impossible. I mean seriously, Naruto continued as if she hadn't spoken. The old Anko would have shoved that kunai where the sun don't shine. It's true. I'm the same Anko as always. She snapped. Really? All I see is a copy. He spat. The real Anko taught me how to do near suicidal stuff. A shit-eating smile split across his face. Stuff like this. Naruto ran forward and ripped open his shirt to reveal a vest. A vest covered in high-powered explosive tags. Naruto muttered only one word before they went off. Izanagi. Anko barely made it away, but still took damage. She only had one thought: how does he afford to keep getting those? I'm so disappointed in you. Naruto spoke behind her. Iruka must have got you good. He realized he hit the nail on the head when she flinched. Is that it? Did he convince you to act civilized so people will accept you? I trust Iruka. She growled. And I trusted you, look at us now. He chuckled. Those people out there. He gestured outside the arena toward Konoha. They thinks you're as much a monster as me. Shut up. She cried in rage. What do you know about? She stopped when she saw his really face. Never mind. Oh, before I forget. Naruto smirked. Bitch goes boom. Anko looked down to see an exploding tag on her chest. How do you affer? Boom. It's over. Naruto stated. Yes, it is. A voice spoke in his ear. Demonic illusion, tree binding death. Naruto couldn't move, he was caught in another Genjutsu. Hold him right there, Kurenai. Yugao ordered. The Kunoichi drew her sword and charged. Her vertical slash hit its mark with Naruto. Usually an attack like this would put one in critical conditions, but it wasn't enough for Naruto. Izanagi. He wasn't done. Invert. Yugao knew this technique and its uses from experience. Yugao knew Naruto expected her to strike in his direction like so many before. She would however go in the opposite. It was that thought that Naruto was waiting for. Yugao's sword didn't pierce Naruto, it pierced Kurenai. Yugao the Genjutsu mistress stuttered before falling limp. And then there was one. Naruto stated. How? That's the true power of the invert. Naruto stated, it actually uses your years of experience to trigger your reflexes of attacking. He pointed to himself, in most cases me. But I didn't attack you. Yugao stated. No, you didn't. Naruto agreed, you attacked what you thought was me. He smiled lazily, you can't expect my usual brand of crazy, I like to keep people on their toes. With a cry of rage Yugao stood and rushed Naruto. She no longer had a style in her movements, just wild slicing. You told me one has to keep calm in a fight. The blade pierced his chest, and he went up in smoke, or you lose the fight. He whispered in her ear. Deception slice. And the last Kunoichi fell. Clang. Naruto and Yugao were in a power struggle. Naruto kicked the sword-wielding lady in the stomach. It was enough to make her double over and backpedal. Infinite darkness technique. Wait, what the hell? Anko shouted, I thought I died. We all did. Yugao stated. And you will again. Naruto answered, but how? He asked. He spoke for them to hear larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidney, heart. He named which will I go for. The Kunoichi all went on guard at the sound of Naruto's voice. They took a back-to-back diamond position. Where did you learn this jutsu? Kurenai asked. This was a specialty by the second Hokage. By Slugheim is both the fifth Hokage and a senju. Naruto answered, she allowed me to learn it. Kurenai formed a hand sign. Hi. Nothing. Is that it? Naruto asked. I'm actually disappointed. What are you talking about? I guess Konoha's top Kunoichi are all talk. What? Anko exclaimed in outrage, we are Konohas. So help me if you say elites. He roared, which echoed all around. I will make Iruka think he's a little girl. And can he actually do that? Hana asked. Kurenai gave a grim nod. Then again, I shouldn't be surprised. He sighed again. We can't let him win. Anko exclaimed, our titles are on the line. Actually, just Kurenai and Yugao. Naruto corrected, the rest of you are dead weight. He gave them all a once over. In fact, none of you truly deserve your titles. You're all just second best. What? Kurenai growled, where is he? Hana, he spoke, you are just inheriting a title from your mom. She fell, her lungs began to fill with blood. Anko, the titles you have aren't the kind I want connected to my hymes. She fell, her jugular was sliced. Yugao, you will always be considered second to Hade. She fell, her hair was pierced, the fasted death. Kurenai, well, Kakashi had ninjutsu, Guy has Tai, Hade has Ken, Jiraiya even has Fuin. She fell, her spine had been cut. Unfortunately she wasn't dead. Naruto appeared, he had been behind them in camouflage. What's there really left? He asked as he pierced her skull. Clang. Naruto and Yugao were in a power struggle. Why do we keep coming back? Kurenai asked, breaking her composure. Naruto and Yugao broke apart. You of the Ice Queens should be the one telling, not asking. Naruto chastised. I can't keep this up. He thought. I'm running low without my fear. He was barely holding his composure. Just need to push them a little more. Genjutsu? She snapped. Yep. Naruto answered, well, you've seen me use Izanagi to escape my fate, Izanami decides it. He explained, as much as I hate to admit it, it's an Uchiha technique. An Uchiha? Kurenai growled in contempt. Naruto noticed the disdain in her voice. What's that about? That's right. Naruto snapped his finger in realization. Itachi Uchiha, the master of Genjutsu. Shut up, Kurenai spat. The true master of Genjutsu. He laughed, and with Orochimaru as the snake master, you all really are second banana. That sent them over the edge. Both Anko and Kurenai charged in a blind fury with Hana and Yugao following behind. I forgive you. Naruto spoke, stopping the Kunoichi on a dime. It's over. Reality around Naruto and the four Kunoichi appeared as it once was. What are you getting at? Anko asked now that they were back in the academy. It's as I said, it's over. Naruto spoke, I brought you to the peak of your rage, haven't I? They all gave a tense nod in agreement. Now there's not a damn thing any of you can do. The Kunoichi realized he was right. He had played with them, brought out their fears and shames. He had toyed with them. Just like a man. Kurenai muttered. What? Naruto asked, confused. They're just like every man. She continued, you toyed with our emotions and then just left us with the Rekage. You four were no different, Naruto stated coldly, making them flinch. The only difference is no of you can touch me. What was the point of all this? Yugao. I proved you weren't on the pedestal you thought you stood on. He explained, now without your titles you'll just fade into the history of our world. No way. Hana muttered. The women had had all of the torment building up. Now it would explode. You bastard. Kurenai yelled, drawing a kunai. Do you see the pedigree of these women? She asked, pointing to her friends. The swarm of angry Kurenai clones formed around Naruto. Each one held a kunai and dashed forward to attack. As they came closer, Naruto focused to pinpoint a real one. They struck. Naruto let the first couple simply move right through him. They were harmless clones. Then came the original, the one with the most chakra. Naruto raised his kusanagi and deflected the weapon. The Genjutsu mistress could only glare. Before a smirk appeared. Searing pain raked through Naruto. He looked to his chest to see a sword extending just inches from his heart. We've gone against S-rank ninja, on missions thought suicidal, and we've come out on top. Yugao screamed in his ear as she twisted the blade. 2 more points of pain appeared just under his thighs, forcing him to his knees. There were 2 kunai sticking out. He looked toward the one who threw them, Anko. It's hard enough being a shinobi. She stated, drawing more. A devastating blow to his cheek that cut his skin. Hana was using the gifts he had given her. You should try it as a woman. She gave him a second blow to his other cheek. We don't even have our own titles, they continued, just a distaff of the men. We have to be better. More than everyone expects, Hana continued, and damn it, we are. You took the easy way, just like the Uchihas. Yugao spat, we have to work ourselves while you made a deal with a demon. Naruto Uzumaki. Kurenai spat, what the fuck are you afraid of? She would end this now and show the world. Mnemonic illusion, hell viewing technique. This would be a perfect place for Cliffinger. Naruto felt like kicking himself. The had was caught in a D-rank jutsu. Sure, it was overpowered with enough to make it a low S rank. Still not enough for me, just a quick twist of his chest and ow. He broke it before it could go into effect, but still it hurts. Not. Every part of him is pain resistant enough to have a sword shift inside. I don't have enough chakra to continue this fight without my eyes. He thought bitterly. He looked around. Yugao still had her sword in him. Hana was ready to strike him again. Kurenai was preparing another illusion. Anko was drawing more kunai. Where does she put those? They all stopped. Well, look at what we have here. A pained voice spoke. It was the mistress's boyfriends and the Uchiha. Where's Pinky and Blonde? Naruto asked as if he didn't have a sword in his chest. Who cares? Sasuke asked with his trademark arrogant smirk. Now this couldn't be good. Here I am, low on chakra and away from my swords, I'm practically defenseless. Yeah, right. One question, Naruto stated as he painfully reached into his kunai pouch. Do you feel lucky? He kept his head in there. Well, do you? Do you? Sasuke asked, his Sharingan blazing. A strong arm placed itself on his shoulder and he felt the chakra flow from him. When I looked up I saw my fox Haim looking down at me. Behind her were his other Haims, Tayuya and Tsunade. Naruto didn't get a chance to utter a single word before something unexpected happened. QBE, his Haim, slapped him. What was all Naruto was able to get out before she did it again. Is this what you've become? She asked in disdain. You're as bad as the Uchihas with their wretched Sharingan. Naruto didn't know what to say, he felt as if an old pain was resurfacing. It was one thing to hear it from the mistresses, but to hear it from one of his Haims. It was unbearable. I'm sorry, Hai, she slapped him before he could finish. No, I'm sorry, she spoke, for thinking you could handle this much power. No, it's my fault. Tsunade sighed. I've been too lenient on him. She stated as Hokage, it's my duty to keep all of my shinobi in line. We all have been lenient on the shithead. Tayuya stated. What are you? He couldn't bring himself to finish. You obviously can't be trusted with this power, QB stated. Or connections to power, Tsunade continued. Or way to get any fucking power. Tayuya joined. What are you all saying? Naruto asked in a trembling voice. Naruto, I'm taking back your fox glare. QB stated. Samui agreed, I'm cutting your political marriage. Tsunade stated. In other words, we're fucking dumping you. Tayuya stated. I'm sorry. Naruto stated, near tears. I'll be good. The women just turned their backs on him and walked away. The pain Naruto felt was all too familiar. Times, please. Naruto begged, don't leave me. Hey look, H is all sad. He heard someone say. Well, the dope deserved it and more. An arrogant voice chuckled. No need to let an opportune moment go to waste. He heard the sound of knuckle cracking and kunai drawing. He barely noticed a flare in someone's chakra. So this is how it is, huh? He spoke bitterly. A life without any of my Haims. Big Whoop Asuma growled, you lost your girlfriends. Life will continue, Naruto. Haruka spoke, just without them. The life without any Haim. he repeated. Naruto then proceeded to do the strangest thing yet. He smiled. It wasn't a true happy smile, or even a sad one. It was the smile he used to show off when he spouted he would become Hokage. The old Naruto smile that showed how hurt he was. He spoke. I would rather die. He opened his mouth wide, extended his tongue, and bit with enough force to break bone. This is a perfect place for a cliffhanger. So I will. Not. The Genjutsu broke easily. No one would know if it was from either pain, shock to the Kunoichi, or even just will. He would rather die than live without his Heims, many thought in awe. Naruto-kun, the Heims thought lovingly. He never went that far for us. Others thought jealously. Like all of his wounds, even the near-fatal ones, he healed. A part of him wondered how he'd live without his Heims if that hadn't been a Genjutsu. I have had enough of this, Naruto stated in a cold tone. The air suddenly became thin and cold. Not surprising with the amount of fear and killer intent Naruto was unleashing. He began walking toward them. I'm prey. Anko began to whimper. There's nothing we can do. Hana thought. He can kill us at any moment. They all realized. Is this how far apart we've become? Just how strong is he? He walked right past them. I have no use for Kunoichi so weak. He spat that they can't even defend themselves. They lost. They lost the fight. They lost their titles. They lost their pride. Chapter end. So how was the story? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this story with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.